The 2010 Internet Telephony Expo in Miami Beach showcased the technology of hundreds of companies from around the globe. There was plenty to view and learn about, but one booth in particular proved to be a must-see destination. This is XG's first experience with exhibiting and presenting the XMAX system in a public forum. What were your objectives when you decided to attend the 2010 Miami Expo?
Well, we've reached the point in the development of our technology that we're setting up a showcase network. We've got a demonstration network that's currently running in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, not far from here. And we felt we were at the point where it was really time to raise the public face of XG, to really be out there among the people in our industry, to really show what our technology can do, and discuss applications that people in our industry are currently working with. The choice of this forum was that this is the event to be at when it comes to internet telephony, and we knew that when it was time to make our first appearance as far as a trade show, that this would be the one we'd be appearing at.
Well, you tend to find out who your actual audience is when you do these sort of shows. Who's been stopping by the booth?
It's really been a cross-section of people from different industries, different geographic locations, domestically and far-flung internationally as well. Everything from resellers, existing service providers, companies that are interested in getting into the service provider business but are looking for a low-cost way to do it without having to rely on existing cell carriers or to have existing spectrum. And so people have been very receptive to the message that we've been delivering, and it really resonates with a lot of the people stopping by our booth looking for a different angle or a different approach to solving business problems that they've got.
When people come up to the booth, how do you even begin to explain how the system operates if they're completely naive to the technology?
I start with the advantages the system has to offer to a user. The first advantage that the system has to offer is operating in a license-free band, which is a 900 megahertz ISM band. Since it's a license-free band, the user or the carrier does not have to incur the charges for the spectrum. The second advantage is the application, which is a mobile voice over IP application. It's a true mobile voice over IP handset because we have designed the protocol and software and hardware from ground up with the mobile voice over IP application in mind. That means in a typical system, for example, a Wi-Fi system, the preference is given to a data user, and then the second preference is given to a voice user. Whereas in XMAX system, a preference is given to a voice user, and then second preference is given to data user. Since voice has a priority over data, we maintain a very low latency and low jitter. That's one of the reasons why our system is robust mobile voice over IP system.
What's the most frequent question that you seem to be getting at the booth?
A typical question that I've actually answered over here, I've noticed that people ask this question a lot is, do you have a system operating somewhere in the United States that can demonstrate your technology? And the answer is yes. We have a pilot network in Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale area, where we have 5 base stations and plus 1 base station in our office. So it's a total of 6 base stations connected together, and we cover about 30 square miles area. And we can show to a user, we can show to anyone who comes to our office, we can take them for a drive test, and they can make a phone call. They can drive 30-40 miles per hour in the coverage area, and we can show how the handoff is working. We can show how the phone calls work. They can drive around and make phone calls and be still connected to our XMAX network.
At the IT show this year, you weren't just exhibiting, you were also invited to speak. How's that affected your show, and what have you gotten out of that experience?
So we've had an amazing response from the speaking sessions at this ITEXPO in Miami this year. The sessions related to mobile VoIP and what was required on the 3G and 4G networks in order to support the mass migration from the circuit switch networks over to the IP wireless networks. And during those sessions, we talked about some of the limitations of WiMAX and LTE, and how our XMAX platform that's been developed by XG Technology is actually meeting those needs in order to support this transition of $580 billion worth of revenue over to the wireless IP.
And what sort of feedback have you been getting? What are some common questions or concerns about the system when you're explaining it?
Well, I think that there's an acknowledgement that there are some shortcomings in the 3G and 4G wireless platforms, and that to the extent that a lot of the companies that are participating in the VoIP industry are dependent upon those systems, it's a limitation for their growth. And so I've been approached by a lot of audience members that are recognizing those limitations, and there's interest in a solution to remedy that.
And going forward, having done this and gotten direct feedback from people viewing, are there any things that might come up in the way you're planning to move XG forward as a company?
Well, we've definitely gotten a lot of interesting ideas for supporting technologies that can increase the value proposition of an XMAX service. Well, this is our first trade show that we've done in 2010. It's the first trade show that XG Technologies exhibited at. It's going to be, it represents sort of our debut in terms of industry representation. So we are definitely going to continue this through a number of different trade shows throughout the year. So we have received an amazing reception on our first show.